Hi guys, we're the Fanzone podcast, and we're back after a thrilling Champions League final where Chelsea, the underdogs, actually managed to become the champions of Europe after beating Man City 1-0 in the Champions League final with a Kai Havertz goal. And the topic of this discussion we're going to be having is about an interesting transfer saga that we're going to be that is potentially going to be developing in this upcoming transfer window, and that is the interesting transfer saga of Harry Kane. And that's because his future is really uncertain with Tottenham Hotspurs after, even though he managed to get the Golden Boot with 23 goals, as well as the most assists in the Premier League with 14 assists, uh, he still couldn't do much because Tottenham Hotspurs finished again in a disappointing seventh place, not even managing to get Europa League football, and again having attained no trophies at all. So obviously there are a lot of questions that are going to be asked, and a lot of eyes that are going to be fixed on Harry Kane, and all the news that develops around his transfer. And in an interview with Gary Neville, also, he stated that there's a conversation that needs to happen with the Tottenham chairman, Daniel Levy, about his future. And again, there are a lot of clubs being linked with Harry Kane, those clubs which can actually realistically afford Harry Kane, such as the likes of Man City, Man United, PSG, and Chelsea. And so the first aspect which we would like to delve upon is whether or not Harry Kane should leave. And this is, taking into account his career and the future that he wants to, and the legacy that he wants to leave behind as a Premier League striker. So, starting off, personally, I think that Harry Kane should leave for the sake of his career, because I feel really sad for him because he has consistently managed to give Tottenham 20 to 25 plus goals every season across all competitions. And sadly, he is not reaping any of the benefits in terms of the club trophies that Tottenham had won. They've just won the Audi Cup, and it's pretty much a meme now. And when they appointed Mourinho, I thought maybe there's a chance that they could go after a Europa League, an FA Cup, at least some piece of silverware to show for. But after they bottled it against Dinamo Zagreb, I thought that was when the penny dropped, and that was when everything was gonna. A lot of stories were going to be developed about his Harry Kane's future. And I think if you're Harry Kane, then like you really need to ask yourselves, like when I grow up, like literally with my grandchildren, what am I gonna, tell them about those magical nights in a Champions League final, which I lost against Liverpool. You cannot, you know, tell them about any trophies you won, because all you have to show for are goals and stats which you have individually attained, but no silverware or any medals or trophies to show for. And for that sake, I think he's in the prime of his career. He's turning 28 soon, so it's high time that he should consider a move to a big club where he can be guaranteed some silverware.
Nikunj, I think you summed it up perfectly. Like, if he wants, like, right now, we all know Harry Kane is like this, like, extremely talented footballer, but no one remembers him for being like a serial winner, like someone who like truly like reap the benefits of his like abilities. And I think to achieve that, he has to leave Tottenham because Tottenham have just simply been unable to provide him with like the tools he needs to win. Yeah, they have Heung-min Son. Yeah, maybe recently they've got like Giovanni Lo Celso, but what was expected of them, like the foundations which were laid by Pochettino, they've not exactly blossomed the way that everyone like thought they would. And I think he just has to like move on and get the benefits from it. Maybe like he's what, 27 right now, he turns 28 in July or August, and after he turns like what, 31, 32, maybe even 33, his value starts going down. Harry needs to essentially capitalize on his own value to make sure we remember him as a serial winner who was also a great footballer.
Yeah, I completely agree, Shivansh, because we do definitely remember him as an excellent footballer, and we as football fans just love the work he does for Tottenham Hotspurs, and we respect him. But it's all about taking his career forward, and that's the predicament that can be possibly solved by leaving Tottenham, because he is definitely one of the top strikers in the EPL, and one of the, like, he's definitely the hero of his own club. And he's also up there with other strikers and forwards such as Sergio Aguero. And speaking of which, I believe he can be a very suitable replacement for Aguero, because let's be honest, Manchester City have the money, and we saw in this Champions League final that City still had an excellent squad, but the way Guardiola just utilized our squad, we it really opened some eyes, because we found that our midfield very attacking, but our actual attack, we have Sterling and Mahrez on the two sides, but they're unsupported, and because of this loss of Sergio Aguero, he's left this gap, this hole in Manchester City's squad that can only be fulfilled by this perfect striker to receive everybody's passes, to make those passes and that chemistry, that link in an attack, in a trio, um, like Manchester City has been doing over all these years. And hence, I think if Kane were to join, he would definitely have good chemistry with the midfielders in Manchester City and our attack, because we have a really good squad depth. And he recently said that he really values what Kevin De Bruyne has been doing for Manchester City and his talent, his pure talent. Because what kind of striker wouldn't like having Kevin De Bruyne behind them, with them, next to them, constantly feeding them passes, through balls, long balls, everything, creating as many opportunities as it takes for these strikers to score. It couldn't be easier um, without Kevin De Bruyne, with Kevin De Bruyne. So overall, I think a link would be between Kevin De Bruyne and Harry Kane would look really good. It would be really really helpful to City squad, and I think he'd actually start winning some trophies.
Yeah, I mean, I think Daniel Levy made some big promises to Kane when he signed that long-term contract when he was 25, I think, which is when he scored, I think, 54 goals that year to beat Messi on the final game of the year. And I think this season, Kane's kind of finally realized that he's never going to win all that much at Spurs. And it's just really bad timing because of coronavirus and the financial constraint that it has put on clubs. I mean, there's only a handful of clubs who can actually afford to get him. And consider the fact that he's British, and British players just don't succeed generally outside the Premier League. So consider the fact that Daniel Levy is one of the most stingy men in football. So I don't think there are going to be too many clubs outside maybe Manchester City and Liverpool and maybe United and all who are actually willing and wanting to get him. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's like an amazing player. He's so much more than just a number nine, because as we've seen, he can get assists and fall back and create chances and everything. But considering all these factors, considering that he's in his prime right now and won't be for much longer, as Siobhan said, as well as his major ankle issues, I really question if he'll be able to leave Spurs.
Yeah, there are obviously questions about whether how reluctant Daniel Levy will be in terms of the asking price he sets for Harry Kane. And in terms of the clubs that can actually afford him, obviously City are the um, obvious club that comes to mind, because they've just lost Sergio Aguero, and losing Sergio Aguero due to injury in the season as well was one of the major reasons why they were forced to play this false nine. And although they've still won the league by a fairly good cushion, they obviously we all know that this false nine system will not work throughout the whole next 2 years. And having a proper number nine like Harry Kane will actually make them an unstoppable force, not only domestically but also in Europe. Because I think Gabriel Jesus, although he may be good, he doesn't make the cut of a top-notch striker like Harry Kane, who can bag, easily 30 goals a season with the players around him, which City have. But apart from City, I think there are also some other clubs that are linked to him. I think United, they are obviously linked to him because they are known and renowned to have making such marquee signings with big names and big fees. They've done it with Lukaku, Pogba, Maguire in the past. And I think that's one of the main reasons why they're linked. But I think they're not that likely to go for Kane because number one, Edinson Cavani just signed a 1-year contract. So I think they will stick with Edinson Cavani as the main striker, which as a United fan, I don't have any problems with because he's been phenomenal. And secondly, I think from Harry Kane's perspective, going to United still doesn't guarantee him a lot of trophies. Since Ole has come, we're not won a trophy in the 2/3 years. 3 years.
4 years.
There, 4 years, whatever, 3.5. Okay, but so we've not won a trophy since then. And even if we get Harry Kane, we're not guaranteed to win a Premier League. Whereas if you have City and they get Harry Kane, then you're pretty much confirmed the Premier League for the next 3 or 4 years, and you're in strong contention of winning at least one Champions League and many other domestic trophies as well. So that's one of the reasons why I think Harry Kane personally would not find it an attractive move to go to United. In terms of Chelsea, I think obviously there is going to be a lot of tension because he doesn't want to ruin and tarnish his reputation with Spurs by directly moving towards a rival like Chelsea. But given that Chelsea also can have the funds to secure such a big money move like Harry Kane, and given how Werner has been performing underwhelmingly this season, I think Harry Kane would do them wonders. So I think moving to a Premier League club is it's a sensible move because you also need to take into account the fact that he is chasing the Premier League goal scoring record held by Alan Shearer, and he's only, I think, less than 100 goals away. So if he stays there, then he can actually accomplish that goal simultaneously as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he would be welcome at Chelsea. We already have a surplus of players, but if we have a good summer transfer window with clearing out our players, I think we can definitely make space for him. Werner, as we've seen, he hasn't got his finishing back to his best. And I think he would be absolutely phenomenal with an actual striker right next to him as he plays on the left wing or something. A physical presence like Lukaku would also work really well with him. But we all know that Roman Abramovich is probably the best owner ever. And I think we have the funds to get him, and it's actually really possible.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we should move on to talk about the adverse impact on Spurs that will be created if Harry Kane leaves, and subsequently, what should Spurs and Daniel Levy do in terms of should they keep him, should they let him stay for a year and then let him go? What should they do? How much should they sell him for? So these are some key questions. I'll start off by just quickly saying that I think having Harry Kane go will be a really significant impact on Spurs' squad because I think he's the talisman, and as I mentioned before, he has done so well at Spurs and been so consistent despite having ankle injuries. So having him go would be a huge blow. And I think if Harry Kane goes, no matter which replacement they get for whichever position, Spurs will not be, you know, that same level anymore, and they will drop further down the table, and they could, become a smaller club in terms of their future.
Yeah. If there's one thing these last few years of football have recognized the value of, it is a good forward, because only now, like, these clubs and we fans are realizing the value of strikers such as Lewandowski, Aguero, Luis Suarez, and I think by losing Harry Kane, this will make a major impact on um, probably the rest of Tottenham seasons. But I I think that the club itself still has a lot of scope, because the squad as a whole is not the worst squad in the world. It's quite an okay squad, but the problem is how the squad has been performing, how these players have been developing, especially with each other. I'm just not seeing the links. However, I do feel that Gabriel Jesus, if offered to Tottenham Hotspurs and if accepted, he do a pretty decent job of filling that gap, because he can still be considered a big game player. He just needs to get used to having that responsibility of being the primary striker and being the main striker, because all eyes of the Tottenham Hotspur fans will be on him. The rest of the players, they'll have to continue to try to assist Gabriel, and I think he can do a pretty good job in terms of keeping the attack stable. But whether he can like fully transform like Tottenham's attack to the level that Kane did, that I'm really questioning, because once again, he may be a big game player, he may perform well under pressure, but Gabriel Jesus just does not have that experience. Um, he does not have that experience as a youngster, but exposure to it in a club like Hotspurs, where they have nowhere else to go but up, I think that could be a suitable change at least.
Can I just ask though, are Spurs really decent without Harry Kane? I mean, they have Son and just a bunch of other like good aging players like Lloris and Alderweireld and whatever. That brings me to my main question: are Spurs really a top six club anymore? Because I genuinely don't feel like they are. Uh, Even with this 100 million or 150 million pounds that they get, as you said, they won't be able to find another striker. There's literally a shortage of world-class strikers, I feel. And they have spent this last 10 years or so establishing themselves as a top six club with fan bases in South Korea and everything. But they rely entirely on player development and everything. That's how it's worked with Kane, Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen, and so many more players. They take average players or players with potential and they make them world class. And I really wonder how sustainable that is.
Yeah, I actually, that is a very good question that you brought up, because I think this entire Super League, if it's taught us one thing, it's just the sad unfairness of football. How clubs like Tottenham Hotspur can even be selected for a Super League, which is a complete disgrace. The other teams that are actually developing with the limited resources and players that they have, the magic that they're doing with them, especially in the Premier League, I think that sort of puts Spurs to shame, because even with a player like Harry Kane, they just couldn't support him. And yeah, I think Spurs is a diminishing club, is deteriorating in performance, and I think they need to do with a big transfer, not only selling Harry Kane, but using that money very strategically to better their attack. And it's not that they only need a striker. There's lots of places in their squad that could be enhanced. So even with a smaller second rate striker, if they also start developing other ends of their squad, I feel like they with a bit of reflexivity, acknowledging that they're not this top tier club anymore, and working towards developing themselves truly in squad depth, before they start thinking about these big games and their big transfers and their reputation. I think they could do well by not only making one major signing but major developments to their squad as a whole.
So yeah, I just like to add one small point to Aryan, what Aryan mentioned, which is that not only are there shortage of world class strikers and other world class players in other positions, but also there's another problem that Spurs, they're not getting European football at all. I mean, they're getting UEFA Confederate League, which is some random league where they're going to play some in some unknown places. So basically, there's also a question of how they're going to attract these big players to play for them. Because realistically, if you're a big player playing for a big team in any of the top 5 European leagues, then why would you go to Spurs? And that's the same problem with Arsenal that they're facing. Because although you can have 150 million sitting in your bank, you cannot. It'll be a tough time for you to get these big signings to improve your squad. And also another key point to notice is that they don't have a permanent manager right now. They have, I think his name is Ryan Mason. He's like 20 something, 22, 21 years old or something like that. I don't remember. But I don't know, 30 maybe. I'm not sure. But he's very inexperienced and he's a temporary coach, and they still need a permanent manager. So there's no sense of direction in terms of Spurs and where they're heading right now. And because of that, even though they can sell Kane, it's going to be hard to attract big players. So I, like 1 hour ago, I saw something on Instagram where they were saying Jesus and Kane might be considered as a transfer swap, as a player plus cash transfer swap. And then I saw one more where Spurs could buy Martial for 40-45 million. And all these are like, okay, these are still decent players, but you still have a big hole in your gap. So that, I think that's one important point to consider.
But to find out, that may be true or may be false.
So at the end, what are your predictions? Where do you think he will go? And first of all, do you think he will go, or do you think he will stay at Spurs for one more year or something?
I think personally, go.
I think given like the current financial climate, I think it's going to be very difficult to find a buyer for Kane who'll be willing to match the price tag that Daniel Levy sets on him. It's probably going to be like somewhere around maybe between 120 million to 150 million pounds or euros. And I don't think a lot of the big clubs can afford that. I mean, you've seen that Barcelona and Real Madrid and Manchester United, Inter Milan, all these big clubs are already facing like a lot of financial trouble. I mean, Inter Milan are possibly going to sell Lukaku, Achraf Hakimi, Lautaro Martinez. They might have to sell them just to get funds, and same applies to Barcelona and Real Madrid. So I think it's going to be difficult. So I think this year he might stay at Spurs, but next year he's definitely leaving.
I think City can definitely afford him now that Aguero's gone and everything. They just reached the Champions League final. Unfortunately, couldn't win it. But they reached it and they think they can win it this time somehow. So he may leave, but unless City really push for him, I don't see him leaving until maybe next year, where European football will be sort of back to its normal.
I'm certain this deal will be pushed for because of how much it can benefit City and how much of a choice does Tottenham really have. We've learned that you can't really stop players from fulfilling their dreams, and if they want to leave for whatever reason, be it for more money or just more playtime or just more, I guess, acknowledgement and appreciation from a different club, you'd have to let them go at some point. And the more Harry Kane starts to express himself, even through his playing, everybody has to realize that he is carrying Tottenham Hotspurs. And I think if they really have to, then they should let him go, and only then they can start to actually work on improving their own squad and I think this Jesus deal will really pull through because Jesus has so much potential. And I know this episode's about Kane, but I'm just really fond of Jesus as a player as a whole, and the magic he can possibly do in Tottenham. Yeah, I think I agree with Aryan. This deal can definitely be pursued.
Yeah, to conclude, I would say that it's going to be hard both ways because Spurs and Levy will be reluctant to let him go because he's so key. But at the same time, you're like keeping a player who doesn't want to realistically play for you, and that's obviously going to create a lot of pressure depending on how much desire he expresses to leave. But I would just say that wherever, like, I think this is a key time in his career, and if he decides to leave this summer, then I think the Euros and the England dressing room will be nuts because all the players from Man City, like Foden, Sterling, they will all like try to be agents and try to convince him to join or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this summer. And if he stays this year, next season, then it's going to be interesting to see whether he still continues to perform in the same way and how much does his price tag increase/decrease by. So, guys, that's it. That's a Fan Zone podcast. Thanks for watching, and it'll be an interesting summer to see the transfer saga unfolding with Harry Kane.